The one reason is the future of my grandchildren. When they come out here, I want them to see it the same way that our ancestors viewed it. And it's the same way it is now when they emerge in our place of emergence here, Diné. It's the same walls, the same rivers, the same waters. I want that brought into the future to my grandchildren and their grandchildren, to keep it the same, to not disturb it. We have prayer places there. We have sacredness there. We have the holy people that walk in the canes and hear our prayers. We have the stories about Changing Woman when she was leaving for the sea. She has her footpaths there. And I want to travel here and be on the same grounds as my ancestors were. We were told by our elders that you don't come here just to sit around and look around. You come here for a purpose. You come here to do your prayers. You come here to feel the ground, to see the rocks, to get your medicine from the plants, to feel the wind, and then you leave it the way you found it. That's the overriding reason, because my culture is from here, my ties are from here, my families are all from here. I am from here. And that's what I want to share with my daughter and share with my grandchildren. They know that there's sacredness here. They speak in whispers here. They're happy here. And I don't want them to lose that. If we do go and do our prayers when those lights are here, when there's buildings here and there's people talking all over the place, when all the elk are scared off, when they're no longer here, the holy people are going to be distracted by the lights too. They won't be able to hear it. Where will our prayers go? They will just bounce off these bright lights and go into space.
Since 2011, the local Navajo families who live in the areas along the edge of the Grand Canyon have been fighting against a Scottsdale developer who wants to build a massive resort and gondola tram at the confluence of the Colorado and Little Colorado River. This is a very sacred place to the Navajo, the Hopi, and other tribes, and they expect 10,000 people a day at a place that is now quiet because of centuries of respect by Native people. In addition, they want the Navajo Nation to build off-site infrastructure for the development, which would be wells, over 20 miles of roads, power lines, water lines, housing for workers, etc. By passing the buck to the Navajo Nation, they also make the nation responsible for securing the cooperation of local residents who are opposed to the project. And this makes eminent domain a very real threat. This would be Navajo people taking land from Navajo people. It's not something we want to happen. And they also want the Navajo Nation, the government, to close off a massive area of the Western Reservation to non-Escalade economic development. And it would be the Navajo Nation that would enforce that. It'd be the police chasing off vendors. It would be the police chasing off people who are trying to make a living out there and it would be up to the developers to determine what's competing economic development. This Escalade Project will violate agreements made between the Navajo and the Hopi Nation. These agreements ended Bennett Freeze, which had frozen development in the Western Reservation for over 50 years, and it had drove many people away from the affected area. And this project will also bring lawsuits from other tribes, from the National Park Service, and groups of river runners and environmentalists. Navajo Nation President Russell Begay, unlike his predecessor, is firmly opposed to this project. And he has stated that this project is not in the best interest of the Navajo people. Most of the benefits from this project will leave the reservation, and this project only serves to destabilize the local community, the tribal government, as the developers lobby, lie, and try to convince our elected officials to force this horrible desecration upon us.
The rain is coming this way. In all culture, rain is a blessing. It's so we're dry farmers out here. We don't have any irrigation, and the people that plant corn, we're dependent on rain. Like my background, my undergrad degree is actually in environmental science. So I've studied earth sciences. But my emphasis was on human, like environmental science in general. It's just how humans interact with all of this, how we affect it, how we're affected by it. And there's a science part of it, and later getting into archaeology, one of the things I've realized is our culture is a part of this. It's not just scientific numbers. It's not just amounts of rain. It's not just how water goes into the ground. It's how we use it. That's how we don't use it and how we're going to use it. All of that plays into environmental science. So being an archaeologist, I think, is just very natural to me. Yeah, coming from that type of background. And growing up out here, like I know the value of water. I know water, what it means, what it sounds like. I've been thirsty out here.
So going on these trails is kind of like a spiritual path that prepares you for entering another place? Or?
I think of it as it's just part of the process from getting here to there. It's part of paying respect and maintaining your knowledge of traditional roots, maintaining traditional knowledge of plants on the way, maintaining knowledge of places you're supposed to stop. So that's what these trails are. And if you forget it, someone takes it. If you don't know the trails of your ancestors, if you don't know the places they went, if you don't know their markers, someone's gonna take it from you. So there's people they go out there because they believe there's this underground alien base. They believe that there's UFOs that fly in and out of there. They believe that there's a secret government base, and they have like YouTube videos about it, and they just appropriate our stories of the underworld and make it fit their UFO theories, make it fit their government conspiracy theories, and appropriating culture isn't just appropriating our look, appropriating our name, it's appropriating our places too. And that's one of these issues that we're facing with these New Agers, is like they appropriate our place, they appropriate our meanings, and they take it. I mean, being Native is more than just saying I'm Native, or I got my Cherokee grandmother, or pretending to be Native. It's living this hard life out here. It's planting crops and seeing them die. It's having kids and burying them out here, and growing up out here, becoming old and being buried here. That's what being Native is about. That's where identity comes from. It comes from hardship. It comes from life. It comes from a long pattern of existence in a place like this. And I'm glad I'm Native. A lot of these places, they're sacred in ways that we don't know, we don't understand. There's energies there that we can't comprehend, whether it's just this feeling from within, this feeling of awe, this feeling of appreciating nature. And just like anything in life, you got to get ready for it. You got to prepare yourself. You got to think about things. You got to learn how to exist, and then you can start seeing these things. And that's what a lot of us Navajos, that's what a lot of us Natives do. We pray, we fast, we have songs and ceremonies before we do things, before we go to certain places. That area over there is where the Escalade developers want to build most of their development. They say it's only 420 acres around where that 2-track road goes up to the edge, going north this direction toward that drainage there. But down there, they would want big sewage lagoons, enough to support 10,000 people a day. And they want their boutiques and motel and restaurant, and they want their gondola out on the edge right over there. And you can see right now, there's nothing. It's beautiful. If they build anything there, it's going to affect the night sky. It's going to affect the daylight. There's going to be lights reflecting, or the sun will be reflecting off their windows, and there's going to be cars, 10,000 people's worth of cars coming in and out of here, and it's going to become Disneyland. It's going to become a abomination to everything. And right now it's fine just the way it is, and we hope it'll stay like that. So right up here is where they want their gondola tram to come down, or the top would be over here. So according to their plan, the building would be like right here. This will probably be a big old parking lot, like all through here. And the tram would go probably right down this slot right here. Start on its way down to the bottom. Totally tainted by all the mechanical lines and cables going down there. The noise of 10,000 people all in here. What kind of person comes here and thinks they can make it better?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Who comes here and decides to mechanize nature? This place is hard for a reason, because you gotta deserve it. You gotta earn it to walk down, and the heat, you gotta pay and sweat to get down there. So our gondola would go down here and start going down toward the river over there, and we'll be able to see it from the other side there.
And all this would have like hotels and
the hotels
all that
would be up there. So 10,000 people walking around up there a day, so 8 hours in a day, or maybe 10-hour day. So 1,000 people an hour. I don't know the math behind it, or where they're coming up with those numbers. But I'll go. This on their map is the sacred site. This little flat rock here.
Oh, that's the limit of it?
Yeah. They would put a wall. They want to put like a wall or something right here. So what makes this place sacred, what makes a lot of places sacred, is everything around it. From one end of the sky all the way to the other. Just on a day like this, you can see. That's what makes it sacred. A wall right here, it's not sacred. 10,000 people right there watching me as I pray or I do what I gotta do, that's not sacred. All the trash and noise that comes with them affects the sacredness of a site. It's detrimental to it. It makes it less sacred. Man, it gets better. Look at that, the water is blue today.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's something else.
See, in Navajo, that's one of our most sacred spots. Right there where that blue water comes in, that represents life. That's a male river. The Little Colorado's male and the Colorado River is female. And where those two rivers come together, there's that foam that forms. And that foam is us. It's the essence of life. It's froth, it's mist, and that's where life comes from. All the way back to the beginning. Like for people like me, my clan believes that, and that's a sacred area.
So this is like your creation point, origin?
Yeah, our creation area is right in here. There's Salt Woman's Hogan up that way, and over here is where we came out of the ground. That island there, the shape of it was said to be a woman's private parts, and that's where we come from.
And what do they want to do on the bottom here at the...
They want their gondola going down to the bottom, and they're going to have a building down there, and they're going to have a walkway, and they want a restaurant, and they want like an amphitheater down on the bottom. And that's just phase one. And they're going to have to build sewage lagoon for 10,000 people a day. They say it's going to be out of sight, which means it's probably going to be upstream of the Little Colorado where that blue water is coming from. All the wells they want to drill are going to take the water from that blue water, or blue spring, is up around the corner, further up the canyon, like 6-7 miles. And when they pump all that water out for 10,000 people a day, it's going to affect that blue water. It's going to affect all the springs on this side of the canyon coming out. And they would own this. This would become theirs. And they would control all the trails into the canyon going that way. They would control economic development all the way to the almost to the highway from here. And their little corridor that goes to the highway, they'd be able to say who can have a gas station and who can't. They could control all the jewelry sellers and tell them they can't sell there. They'd have control over everyone that works here, not the Navajo Nation. Well, one of their arguments is we need to protect this area, and the only people this area needs to be protected from is the developers. Like, look around you, there's no one to protect it from right now, except the people that are threatening its existence. This is an amazing day.
Yeah, you can see why they want to develop it, but, you know, places like this should be left alone.
Yeah. What makes it special, what makes it sacred, again, is this. There's no one here, there's no noise, there's no trash, there's no car alarms going on, there's no honking.
Yeah, there's nothing really you can do to it to improve.
Mm-hmm. And for us Navajos, like, we got to this point where Changing Woman decided that a lot of us, her offspring, the Navajo people that were here, that we were old enough to survive on our own, that we could live on our own and get by without her. So she left. She left to the Pacific Ocean, and this is the way she left. She hiked in through Gap. She comes down the trail. She went down Salt Trail Canyon, and then she came down this canyon here. But right around here by the Sipapu, or Salt Woman's Hogan, she met her grandmother, Salt Woman, who raised her when she was a little girl. And Salt Woman says, okay, I'll stay here and I'll take care of our kids, and you go on and do what you have to do. So they switched places. Changing Woman left with all the game animals, the deer, the bighorn, the elk, and she came down the trail on this side of the river, and she goes that way, and she comes up what they call the Tanner Trail now. And she went up on top of the canyon, and she went out to the Pacific Ocean. And Salt Woman, she left back up the trail. She had all the domestic animals, like the sheep, the horses, the donkeys, and she brought them up for humans to use. And she comes and she checks on us. She walks that trail back and forth, and she's checking on human beings. And just like our grandmother, she just sits down there and she sort of just leaves us, not ignoring us, but she's like, they need to figure this out themselves. They need to work this out. They need to be adults. she could help us if she wanted to, but we're better people if she doesn't. So she's down there, she's right down there too, and she's one of the people that these Diné, these holy beings that we have to protect, because she's here taking care of us. One of the bigger issues that like we Native Americans face is like cultural appropriation. People taking our identity, they're taking the way we look, the way we act, and the places we go, places like this, and they use it for themselves. They make a caricature of it. They make it funny. They make it less than what it is. And that's one of the issues we face is New Age groups, New Age people coming around and claiming that they know this place better than us, that they know how to appreciate this place better than us, that they're more connected to these places than we Native Americans that have been coming here for thousands of years already, that have our way of coming here, our prayers, our songs, our methods that we use to come here, that we keep to ourselves because of New Age people, because we don't want to see them, we don't want to laugh at it. We don't want to be laughed at, and that's what they turn it into, is just this farce. And that's one of the threats we face. And if they bring in this so-called Escalade development, it's going to bring those types of people here. It's going to bring your, I hate to say it, your Redskins, the people that wear Washington Redskins clothing and that believe that wearing those kind of images, saying that kind of word, they want to believe that respects us, that they think that, they really want to believe it, and they're going to be here, and they're going to be doing things to this place that we probably can't even imagine right now. They're going to be bringing their crystals and medicine wheels and all of that, and we don't need it, and this place doesn't need it. And all of this is important, because what makes a place sacred is everything around it. Everything you see from one side of the sky to the other, up and down, sideways. And when you're standing down there, you can see this place, and it looks exactly how those first people saw it when they climbed up from underneath. You can go down there and you can feel the way they felt when they're scared and cold and tired, and they're first coming up on the surface of the earth, and they see this, and the sun probably hits it, and these cliffs look like they're on fire. They probably thought they were doomed, that this world was on fire. But as time goes on, they realize, no, it's just the color of the rocks. It was scary at first, but now we love it. Now we're inspired by it. And it was from here that humankind came out, and they spread in 4 different directions. They're always going out in the different direction. There's always coming back to the center place. You don't know where you're going unless you know where you come from. And they say that a lot. And this is where we come from. This is a stable base, a stable foundation for our cultures, for our different people. Native Americans, Navajos, Hopis, everyone, Zunis, we can come back here and say, this is the solid foundation that my life is built on. This is the solid thing that keeps me up, that keeps me going. I'm unemployed, I'm broke, my student loan is overwhelming, but I know this place exists, so it keeps me strong, and it keeps me grounded, and it keeps me going forward.
And all that would be gone with the condo down there.
With the restaurant down there, with the sewage lagoon down there, 10,000 people walking around down there. The only people it needs to be protected from is the developers. Just amazing.
Yeah, it's...
One of the things that I mentioned earlier, but one of the things that New Age people believe is there's a secret entrance to the underworld, that there's aliens living underground and the government's keeping it a secret. And you can find those videos on YouTube, and that's just them appropriating our culture, saying that this place is theirs, not ours, that we're not smart enough to do anything, that it has to be aliens that show us everything. I don't want those people here. No one wants those people here. They're human beings, but their perversion of culture, their perversion of what's sacred and holy is unacceptable. Unacceptable on my land, unacceptable on my people's land, unacceptable on native land, which is everywhere. Maybe someday we'll figure out a way to bring people here, all of us, not just Navajos, not just Park Service, not just anyone, but all of us working together. Maybe we can somehow figure out a way to bring people here. But then sometimes it's just better left alone. I'd rather it left alone, but we'll make everyone walk from Tuba City.